Hi guys, hope you're doing well on this Monday, June 30th. Guess what? There's some news on the Ohio versus Tom Keesee jury trial. As you guys may recall, the jury trial was scheduled for July 1st, and it has now been continued to November 18th of 2025, which is about 5 months away. And that is the week before Thanksgiving. So that is where we are at with the Tom Keesee trial. Now, if you guys have been following me, you know I give you updates on the Tom Keesee trial. If you are new here, I am following this trial. It is out of the state of Ohio. It involves Tom Keesee, who is the son of Drenda and Gary Keesee. They are co-founders of a church, Faith Life Church in New Albany. And yes, this is very concerning because there are allegations that they knew that their son was SAing these victims. There are 4 victims. One of them is a sister, and all the victims were children at the time of the crimes. So this is where we're at. Tom Keesee was picked up. He was arrested on Good Friday of this year, which was April 18th, I believe it was, and he has been incarcerated since then. His bond was set at $2 million cash. He has not been able to make that bond. And some people ask, is he going to make it now that his trial is extended for another 5 months? I guess we'll wait and see. My impression has been, even with the conditions that are set by the judge, which one of them is that he has to have a GPS monitor, and the others are that he has to turn in his passport and he has to turn in his driver's license. To me, that doesn't mean that he's not going to flee. Now, I have no evidence that he is. Obviously, his attorney has argued that he is not a flight risk, but we don't know. He was picked up, and we don't know what's going to happen if he were to make that bond. My personal opinion, just my personal opinion, is that I doubt that his mother or father or family is going to want to part with $2 million cash in the event that he could potentially flee. So what happens next? Well, if they don't make that bond, he sits in jail where he's been for the next 5 months until November 18th. That's the start of the jury trial. That doesn't mean he gets out then. It's just the jury trial starts at that time. So what happens then? If he sits in there, okay, he sits in there. Then the jury trial is scheduled to start on November 18th. They would have to pick a jury. Well, that could take about a day, could take a half a day, but it could take a full day. How long could the jury trial last? I would say at least 5 days, could be even more than that if they do full days, because we've got 4 victims, and then we've got at least, I think it's 7 to 10 witnesses. That would include the investigating officers. I think 2 weeks, a full 2 weeks, could be what comprises that jury trial. That's just my opinion. And I could be wrong, but you know, I'm just going by my experience. I didn't think that the jury trial was going to be on July 1st, and now here we are. We've got a new date, which I believe it will happen in November. I believe that there's no reason why the parties can't be ready by that time. All right, the next topic. Let me know your thoughts in this regard. While we're waiting, we've got 5 months, a little less. It's certainly possible that the parties, meaning Tom's attorney and the prosecutors, there's 2 prosecutors on the case now. So it's the elected prosecutor, and then there's another prosecutor that filed her notice of appearance. They could certainly start talking about potential plea deals. That's a possibility. Now, any plea deal is going to have to be discussed with all of the victims. The victims are going to have to give their consent to that in order for that to even occur. I have no idea if that's going on, but it's something to consider because we have a little over 4 months, you know, close to 5 months. And if Tom is sitting in there that whole time, he might want to get out. Now, if he were to get out with a plea deal, it's going to involve prison time, because I believe it's 7 out of those charges are felony 1 R-word crimes. right? So those carry life in prison. So if that's the case, I mean, he's looking at substantial time, and there would be no reason to dismiss those charges, right? So I would think that any plea deal, this is just my opinion based upon my experience. If you're new here, I used to be a child SA, sex crimes, whatever you want to call it, prosecutor. And I mean, I would be looking at no less than 20. But again, that would have to be agreed upon by the victims. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. If somebody I see this all the time. Somebody will say, is that what's been offered? No, I'm just saying, based upon my experience, if there was an agreement with the parties, I'd be looking at no less than that. But you have to take into consideration what those guidelines are for him, right? We're looking at 7 counts of first degree R that carries with it life imprisonment. And I don't know what their guidelines are there, but my understanding is that he doesn't have a criminal history that would be taken into account. But the fact that there's 4 victims, all under the age of 13, would be taken into account as well. So let me know your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. Do you think that he's going to make bond? What do you think? Do you think that there's a possibility that the parties will entertain a plea deal? What do you think? And then on another note, if you watched my most recent video, some of you might not be following this, but for those of you that are, the Shawn Combs trial, that ended on Friday the 27th. And this morning, my understanding, June 30th, is when the judge gave the jury charge, the jury instructions. So the jury is, I believe, deliberating. In my opinion, I do not think that they will go beyond this weekend coming up, because Friday is a holiday. Friday is July 4th. But I do believe that they're going to need at least 3 full days to go through the evidence. So my thought process is that they'll likely have a verdict either by the end of Wednesday this week, which would be July 2nd, Wednesday, yes, or by the end of the day on Thursday, July 3rd. Could be either one. But I do think that they're going to have to sit down and go through the evidence, because it was pretty substantial. Now, if you're asking what my opinion is, what the verdict is, I have no idea. There are times that going into a trial, I feel pretty confident, oh, they're probably going to lean this way or that way. Very difficult with this one, because I wasn't able to see any of the witnesses' testimony, because as you know, it's a closed trial, it's a federal trial, so those are never, the media is not allowed in there, so we can't see what's going on. There was only one other case recently that I was in a similar boat. It was Melanie Ferris. If any of you want Melanie Ferris, it was out of Georgia, and it was a woman who was charged with unaliving her husband. And I had no idea how it was going to go. And she was found guilty, and I was a little bit surprised about that, but I really did not know. I went back and forth. So I just decided on, I don't know, you know? And so with the Shawn Combs trial, when I heard about the charges against him, and knowing what I know about the Southern District of New York, I thought, they've got this tied up, and it's likely going to be a conviction. But as we went on with the trial, again, relying on just the reporters, because no way for us to have any personal knowledge here, I have my doubts. So I don't know. I think that the strongest charge is the third charge, which is the transportation for the purpose of prostitution. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. You just never know. But to me, that's the strongest. But I could be wrong. He could be found guilty of everything, found guilty of 1 or 2, or not guilty. Let's just see. I really don't know. It's just up in the air for me on that one. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you on your thoughts about Tom Keesee. Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.